The brakes failed on a hairpin turn, my old Subaru skidding toward a sheer drop into Colorado's icy ravine, the Rockies' jagged peaks blurring past as my heart slammed against my ribs. It was March 3, 2027, and I, Olivia Harper, was supposed to be dead. My ex-husband Nathan Cole had made sure of that, sabotaging my car to send a message. Stay silent or lose everything. I'm 40, a freelance writer clawing my way through a vicious custody battle for my kids Lucas and Sophie, while Nathan paints me as a violent alcoholic, his lies backed by forged police reports, doctored videos, and paid-off neighbors. As I wrestled the steering wheel, tires screeching, I glimpsed a glint of metal in the rear view, a black SUV tailing me, its driver hidden behind tinted glass. I yanked the emergency brake, the car spinning to a stop inches from the cliff's edge, my breath ragged. This wasn't an accident. It was a warning. And Nathan's voice echoed in my mind. "You'll never see those kids again." But as I stumbled from the wreckage, knees shaking, I felt another presence. Someone watching from the pines, their shadow flickering in the snow. They knew Nathan's secrets, and so did my son Lucas, who'd slipped me a note yesterday. "Dad's hiding something big. I'm watching him." This wasn't just a custody fight. It was a conspiracy to erase me, and I was done playing the victim. The mountain air was sharp, slicing through my thin jacket as I stood on the roadside, my hands trembling, but my resolve hardening. The SUV was gone, its tire tracks swallowed by the blizzard, but the weight of being hunted clung to me like damp wool. My studio apartment in Denver waited 30 miles away, a crumbling sanctuary of peeling paint and unpaid bills, but it was mine, a hard-won sliver of freedom after 15 years under Nathan's thumb. I'd been a damn good investigative reporter once, exposing fraud in Denver's underbelly, but now I scraped by on freelance gigs, every cent funneled to rent and a lawyer who barely believed me. The tow truck driver, a grizzled man with a Broncos cap, didn't ask questions when he hauled my Subaru away, but his glance lingered on the severed brake line, his jaw tightening. "You got enemies, lady?" he muttered. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Nathan's shadow loomed larger than the Rockies, his charm a mask for a manipulator who'd turned our community, our kids, even my own memories against me. Back in my apartment, the lock felt flimsier than ever, the door creaking as I pushed it open. The air was wrong, too still, too cold. My heart lurched as I saw it. My desk ransacked, papers strewn like confetti, my laptop gone. It held everything, my custody defense notes, emails to my lawyer, drafts exposing Nathan's lies. On the desk, a note in block letters. "Stop digging, or the kids pay." My knees buckled, and I sank to the floor, the words burning into my... Nathan wasn't just fighting for custody. He was waging war, and he'd already breached my last safe space. I clutched the locket Sophie had given me last Christmas, a cheap heart engraved with Mom forever, its weight grounding me. Lucas's note was still in my pocket, his 11-year-old handwriting shaky but deliberate. Dad's hiding something big. What did he know? What had he seen in Nathan's sprawling Boulder mansion where my kids lived under his roof, his rules, his lies? I forced myself to move, checking the apartment for anything else missing. The journals I'd kept, raw accounts of Nathan's gaslighting, were still hidden under a loose floorboard. Safe, for now. I'd started writing them after the divorce, when I realized how Nathan had warped my reality, convincing me I was too emotional, too unstable, too broken to be a mother. 15 years of his voice in my ear. "You're embarrassing the kids, Olivia. You're lucky I put up with you." It isolated me from friends, canceled family dinners with excuses, then told everyone I'd chosen to withdraw. By the time I left, I'd barely recognized myself. Now he was using that same playbook in court, his lawyer, Victor Hayes, waving forged police reports like trophies. 4 incidents where Nathan had called 911, claiming I'd lost control in drunken rages. Each one followed the same script. He'd provoke me for hours, his voice low and cutting, until I snapped. A raised voice, a slammed door. Then he'd dial, calm as ice, while I unraveled. The memory of those nights fueled me as I swept up the papers, my hands steadying with purpose. I wasn't that woman anymore, the one who apologized for existing. But Nathan's lies were relentless, spreading like wildfire through our small town. Last week at the local market, his sister had cornered me by the apples, loudly announcing I was unhinged and shouldn't be near kids. Shoppers stared, whispers trailing me to the checkout. By evening, Nathan's version was gospel. Olivia Harper had a public meltdown. My phone buzzed with a text from my sister Lauren. "Heard you flipped out at Safeway. You okay?" I hadn't flipped out. I'd walked away, tears burning, but Nathan's narrative was winning. The next morning, I woke to pounding on my door, my stomach dropping. 2 CPS workers stood there, a woman with a clipboard and a man whose eyes flicked over my apartment like a health inspector. "Olivia Harper, we're investigating a report you left your daughter Sophie alone overnight during your last visitation," the woman said, her tone clipped. I froze, the accusation a punch to the gut. Sophie had been with me 2 days ago, coloring unicorns and giggling over pizza. I'd tucked her into my pull-out couch, singing her favorite lullaby. Alone? Never. "That's a lie," I said, my voice shaking. "I'd never leave her." The man scribbled notes, his pen loud in the silence. "We have to investigate all claims. May we look around?" I let them in, my heart racing as they noted the cracked window, the single bedroom, the life Nathan's lies had reduced me to. Unstable mother, unfit home. Their report would say it all. After they left, I called Lucas, my lifeline to the truth. Nathan's phone answered, but Lucas's voice was hushed, urgent. "Mom, I heard Dad on the phone. He paid Mrs. Larson next door to say you left Sophie alone. He said it'll seal the deal in court." My blood ran cold. Mrs. Larson, the nosy neighbor who'd always fawned over Nathan's charm, was his pawn. "Lucas, what else did you hear?" I asked. A pause, then a whisper. "He's got plans, Mom, bad ones. I'm recording him." The line cut off, Nathan's voice barking in the background. My son, 11 years old, was playing spy in a house where truth was the enemy and I was terrified for him. I sank onto my couch, the CPS visit and Lucas's warning colliding in my mind. Nathan wasn't just manipulating the system. He was weaponizing it, turning my kids into pawns in his game. Sophie's voice haunted me, her question from last weekend. "Mom, are you dangerous like Dad says?" She'd looked at me with those wide, trusting eyes, her pigtails bouncing, and I'd forced a smile, saying, "No, sweetheart, Daddy's just confused." But Nathan wasn't confused. He was calculated, bribing Sophie with a new tablet to say I scared her during visits, planting seeds of doubt in her 7-year-old heart. Lucas was different. Quiet, watchful, his father's green eyes but my stubborn streak. He'd grown cagey, his texts short, like he was guarding a secret. That note, "Dad's hiding something big," was proof he was risking everything to help me. The custody hearing loomed, 2 weeks away, and Nathan's lawyer was a shark, Victor Hayes, with a reputation for burying opponents. He'd already presented a doctored video in court, my voice warped, screaming at Lucas in a call I never made. Photos followed, my kitchen trashed, plates shattered, staged by Nathan after one of his provocations. My lawyer, Rachel Klein, was drowning in cases, her advice bleak: "Settle for supervised visitation, Olivia. You can't beat his evidence. I wanted to scream. Nathan's evidence was a house of cards, but it was holding up, and my kids were slipping away. That night, driving home from a late freelance deadline, the road was a tunnel of snow, the Rockies' peaks invisible in the dark. Headlights flared in my rear view, too close, too fast. A black SUV, the same one from the crash, roared up, swerving to force me off the road. My heart pounded as I gripped the wheel, my rental car no match for its speed. The SUV nudged my bumper, and I veered, tires skidding into a ditch, the impact jarring my spine. I scrambled out, snow soaking my boots, but the SUV was gone, its taillights a red blur in the storm. My phone had no signal, the road deserted. I was alone. Except I wasn't. A rustle in the pines, a shadow moving just beyond the trees. I froze, my breath clouding the air. "Who's there?" I called, my voice swallowed by the wind. No answer, but a glint of metal caught my eye. A knife, planted in the snow, its blade etched with, "Back off." Nathan's fixer, whoever he was closing in. I made it home, shaken but alive, and found an anonymous email waiting. "Nathan's lies go back to your wedding. Check his old laptop." My pulse raced. Our wedding? 15 years ago, Nathan had been charming, ambitious, a rising star in Boulder's tech scene. But cracks had appeared early. His late nights, his secrecy, the way he'd dismiss my questions with a smile. Had he been hiding something even then? His old laptop was long gone, sold or destroyed, but the email felt like a lifeline, a clue from someone who knew too much. Who was sending this? A friend? A foe? I didn't know, but I was done being prey. The next morning, my neighbor, Mrs. Callahan, knocked, her eyes soft with concern. "Saw the cops here yesterday, Olivia. You okay?" I hesitated, then told her about CPS, Nathan's lies, the break-in. She shook her head, her voice firm. "I see you with those kids, reading bedtime stories on the fire escape, making them laugh. You're a damn good mom. Don't let that bastard rewriting the reporter in me." I wasn't just fighting for custody, I was fighting for the truth, and I'd need allies. At a diner, refilling my coffee, I met Tessa Reed, a barista with a sharp wit and a story like mine. Her ex had framed her as neglectful, nearly costing her daughter, but she'd won by documenting everything: texts, voicemails, even his bank records. "Nathan's counting on your silence," she said, sliding me a napkin with her number. "Build a paper trail. Find people who see through his bullshit." I nodded, her advice echoing Miss Callahan's. I wasn't alone, not entirely. But Nathan's next move hit hard. A fake medical report surfaced, leaked to the local paper, claiming my alcoholism caused a car accident 3 years ago. An accident Nathan had staged by cutting my brakes, just like yesterday. The headline screamed, "Local Moms Drinking Endangers Kids." My editor dropped my latest freelance piece, citing reputation concerns. Neighbors stared, whispers trailing me like smoke. I wanted to hide, to disappear, but Lucas's note burned in my pocket. I'm watching him. My son was risking everything, and I couldn't let him down. That night, I set up a hidden camera in my studio, its lens trained on the door. Then I recorded a video diary, my voice raw but steady. My name is Olivia Harper. For 15 years, my ex-husband Nathan Cole gaslit me, isolated me, and made me doubt my sanity. Now he's using the courts to steal my kids, faking evidence to call me a drunk, a danger. I'm not perfect, but I'm not what he says. I'm a mother, and I'm fighting. I saved it to a cloud drive, password protected, a weapon I wasn't ready to wield. The weekend with the kids was a lifeline, but Nathan's influence was everywhere. Sophie flinched when I hugged her, her new tablet clutched tight, a bribe to say I scared her. Lucas barely spoke, his eyes darting to the window like he expected Nathan to appear. Over dinner, he leaned close, his voice a whisper. "Mom, I've been recording Dad. He's got a guy who fixes things. Evidence, witnesses, I've got it on my app." My heart stopped. "Lucas, that's dangerous. If he finds out..." He cut me off, his voice fierce. "He's not winning, Mom. Not this time." He showed me a file, Nathan's voice clear. "Hayes says the video's enough to bury her. My guy spliced it from her old reporting days. Judge'll eat it up." My son, 11, was gathering evidence while I was drowning, and the weight of his bravery nearly broke me. But danger was closing in. Leaving the diner after dropping the kids, I sipped my coffee, the taste bitter, off. My vision blurred, my legs buckling as I collapsed, the world fading. I woke in a hospital, a nurse's voice cutting through the fog. "You're lucky, that dose could have killed you." Poison. Someone had spiked my coffee, and I knew who. Nathan's fixer wasn't just watching, he was striking, and my kids were next. I checked my camera footage from the hospital bed, my hands shaking. A hooded figure, face obscured, rifling through my studio, pocketing a USB drive I'd left as bait. Nathan was desperate, and I was running out of time. The custody hearing was a week away, and Nathan's lies were a noose tightening around me. But Lucas's recordings, Tessa's advice, and that anonymous email were threads of hope, fragile but real. I wasn't just fighting for my kids. I was fighting for the woman I'd been before Nathan's lies, the reporter who'd chased truth no matter the cost. The shadow in the pines, the knife in the snow, the email about Nathan's past, they were clues, pieces of a puzzle I had to solve. Nathan thought he'd silenced me, but he'd forgotten one thing. Truth doesn't die quietly, and neither do I. The diner's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, their flicker matching the tremor in my hands as I clutched chipped mug, the coffee inside laced with something that nearly killed me. It was March 10, 2027, and I, Olivia Harper, was a marked woman, my life hanging by a thread in this Colorado custody war. My ex-husband, Nathan Cole, wasn't just trying to steal my kids, Lucas and Sophie. He was trying to bury me, his lies a noose tightening with every forged police report, every doctored video, every paid-off witness branding me a violent drunk. I'd survived his sabotage of my car, the break-in at my Denver studio, the fire that nearly burned me alive. But the poison in that coffee was a new low. A message scrawled in my hospital chart: "Stop fighting or die." As I sat in the diner's vinyl booth, my pulse still erratic from the antidote, I felt eyes on me, not just the waitress's pitying glance, but something darker, hidden in the shadows beyond the window. Lucas's note burned in my pocket. Dad's hiding something big. I'm watching him. My 11-year-old son was risking everything, recording Nathan's schemes, while an anonymous email hinted at secrets buried since our wedding. Someone else was watching too, a whistleblower, a traitor in Nathan's circle, leaving clues that could unravel his empire. This wasn't just a fight for custody. It was a battle for truth, and every step I took pulled me deeper into a conspiracy that could cost me my children, my life, or both. The hospital had released me hours ago, my throat raw from the tube they'd used to pump my stomach, my body weak but my mind razor-sharp. The diner was a refuge, its greasy air and clinking plates grounding me as I pieced together Nathan's next move. The poison, traced to a rare sedative, the nurse had whispered, was no accident. Nathan's fixer, the shadow who'd trashed my studio and left a knife in the snow, was escalating, and I was running out of places to hide. My hidden camera had caught him last night, a hooded figure rifling through my belongings, pocketing a decoy USB drive I'd planted. He thought he'd won, but I'd backed up everything. Lucas's recordings, my video diary, the anonymous email, to a cloud drive, encrypted and untouchable. I sipped water now, avoiding the coffee, my eyes scanning the diner for threats. The waitress, a tired woman with a name tag reading Carla, slid a plate of toast my way. "On the house, hun. You look like you've been through hell." I nodded, forcing a smile. Hell was an understatement. Lucas's recordings were my lifeline, each one a grenade lobbed at Nathan's carefully constructed lies. He'd captured Nathan admitting to splicing old footage from my reporting days, clips of me yelling at sources, taken out of context, to fake a screaming match with Lucas. Another recording had Nathan coaching Sophie, her 7-year-old voice hesitant as he fed her lines. "Tell them Mommy scares you, Soph. It's for your own good." The worst was Nathan joking with his lawyer, Victor Hayes, about framing me for drug possession, planting pills in my studio to seal my fate. My son, barely 11, was gathering evidence while I was dodging death, and the weight of his courage both anchored and terrified me. He'd found a locked USB in Nathan's office, hinting at financial crimes tied to his custody plot, and entrusted his recordings to his teacher, Miss Evelyn Porter, after Nathan started checking his tablet obsessively. Miss Porter, a woman who'd lost her own daughter to a manipulative ex, had stashed the USB in a school safe, promising to protect it. "I know what it's like to be silenced," she'd told me, her eyes fierce. Not this time. But Nathan was closing in. Last night, Lucas had texted, his words clipped. "Dad's mad. He knows I'm hiding something. Be careful." I'd barely slept, my dreams a blur of Nathan's voice, his threats, his smug grin as he'd told Lucas, "Talk, and you'll never see your mom again." The custody hearing was 5 days away, and Nathan's latest move was a motion accusing me of alienating the kids, backed by a therapist he'd paid to lie. The therapist's report, submitted to Judge Clara Monroe, claimed I was coercing Lucas and Sophie to distrust their father, twisting their love into weapons. Every lie was a brick in the wall Nathan was building to trap me, and the pressure was crushing. Yesterday, his fixer had threatened my editor, forcing her to drop a freelance exposé I'd written on Boulder's corrupt real estate deals tied to Nathan's tech empire. My bank account was next, hacked by his allies, my savings drained overnight, leaving me with a past-due rent notice and a landlord's ultimatum: pay by Friday or... I left the diner, the snow crunching under my boots, my breath clouding in the frigid air. Denver's streets were a maze of neon and shadows, the Rockies looming like silent witnesses. I needed to check my camera footage to see if the fixer had returned, but the parking lot was a trap waiting to spring. I felt it before I saw it, a presence, heavy, deliberate. A masked figure lunged from behind a van, his gloved hand clamping my wrist, a blade glinting at my throat. "Drop the case, Harper," he growled, his voice muffled but venomous. "Or your kids are next." I froze, my pulse roaring, but years of reporting had taught me to think fast. I stomped his foot, twisting free, and ran, my lungs burning as I ducked into an alley. He didn't follow, but his warning echoed. "Your kids are next." I leaned against a brick wall, gasping, the knife's cold edge still vivid against my skin. Nathan wasn't just playing dirty, he was playing for keeps. Back in my studio, the lock was intact, but the air felt violated, like Nathan's reach had seeped into the walls. I checked the camera footage, my hands shaking. The fixer had returned at 2 a.m., searching for the real USB, his frustration clear as he tore through my desk. He'd left another note, taped to my mirror. "Last chance. Canada's nice this time of year." Canada. Lucas's latest recording had Nathan boasting about fleeing there with the kids if he lost custody, a plan to vanish across the border and erase me from their lives. The thought of Sophie's pigtails, Lucas's quiet courage, stolen forever made my stomach lurch. I sank to the floor, pulling out the letters I'd written to them last night, in case the worst happened. Lucas, you're braver than I'll ever doubt your heart, Sophie. You're my sunshine. Don't let anyone dim you. The words blurred as tears fell, but I folded them away, my resolve hardening. I wasn't losing them. Not to Nathan, not to his fixer, not to anyone. The next morning, I met Tessa Reed at her diner, her sharp eyes scanning me for damage. "You look like death warmed over," she said, sliding me a coffee. "Clean this time." I told her about the poisoning, the ambush, the hacked account. She whistled low. "Nathan's not just a narcissist. He's a damn crime lord. You need more than recordings, Liv. You need a trap." Tessa's paralegal friend, Mia, had helped me compile a timeline of Nathan's lies, cross-referencing Lucas's recordings with his court filings. It was airtight, but Nathan's influence was a hydra. Cut one head and another grew. Tessa leaned close, her voice low. "I got a call last night. A whistleblower from Nathan's company says his custody stunts funded by dirty money, offshore accounts, the works, wants to meet in Fort Collins tomorrow." My heart skipped. Curiosity 5, a whistleblower, someone inside Nathan's empire, could be the key to dismantling him. But Fort Collins was a risk, a 3-hour drive through Nathan's territory, and the fixer was watching. The pressure mounted. As Nathan's lies spread, a local blog posted the fake medical report, claiming my drunken crash had endangered Lucas years ago. My landlord left a voicemail. "Pay up, or I'm calling the cops." I had $47.00 left, my credit cards maxed, my editor silent, but Lucas's voice kept me grounded. He called that afternoon, his whisper urgent. "Mom, I got into Dad's USP. It's got bank records, transfers to some guy named Viper. That's his fixer, right? Curiosity 4. Viper." The name sent a chill down my spine, tying Nathan's custody plot to something bigger, fraud, maybe worse. "Lucas, don't touch it again," I said, panic rising. "He'll know." But Lucas was defiant. "I'm bringing my tablet to court. There's a recording from last night. Dad's bribing the judge. I got it all." Court was tomorrow, and Nathan's lawyer was ready to bury me. Hayes had the doctored video, the therapist's lies, a community convinced I was a monster. Rachel, my fired lawyer, had called, pleading, "Don't do this alone, Olivia. You'll lose." But I wasn't alone. I had Lucas's recordings, Ms. Porter's testimony, Tessa's network, and the whistleblower's promise. I drove to Fort Collins that night, the road a gauntlet of snow and paranoia. The whistleblower, a nervous man in a parka, met me in a dive bar, sliding me a burner phone. "Nathan's laundering money through his tech firm," he whispered. "The custody fight's a distraction. Viper's his enforcer. Check the phone, bank records, emails, but watch your back." I left, the phone heavy in my pocket, my mind racing. Curiosity 3, Nathan's late-night meetings with Viper, caught on loop. Was he a criminal kingpin, using my kids as pawns? The drive back was a nightmare. Headlights flared in my rear view, the black SUV again, tailing me through the storm. I floored it, my rental car shaking, but the SUV rammed my bumper, sending me spinning toward a ravine. I screamed, wrenching the wheel, the car skidding to a stop in a snowbank. The SUV vanished, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Danger 4. Viper wasn't just threatening. He was hunting, and court was hours away. I made it home, the burner phone's data confirming the whistleblower's story. Offshore accounts, payments to Viper, a web of fraud Nathan had built while framing me. But the recordings were my weapon, and Lucas was ready to wield them. Court dawned cold and gray, Denver's courthouse a fortress of stone and judgment. I stood alone, no lawyer, just Lucas's tablet and the USB, my heart pounding as Judge Monroe called the session. Hayes strutted, playing the doctored video, my voice warped, screaming at Lucas. "Olivia Harper's rage endangers her children," he declared, smirking. I forced myself to breathe, waiting for the moment. Lucas stood, his voice clear. "Your Honor, can I play something?" Nathan froze, his face paling. Judge Monroe nodded, and Lucas tapped his tablet. Nathan's voice filled the room, smug and damning. "I paid off Judge Larson. The video's spliced from her old reporting clips. Harper's done." Shock 1. Another clip played, Nathan laughing about fleeing to Canada with the kids, erasing me forever. The courtroom gasped, Hayes stammering, Nathan's composure shattering. Lucas kept going, playing recordings of Nathan coaching Sophie, bribing witnesses, threatening Lucas. "Talk, and your mom's gone." High-pressure situation 5. Hayes lunged, accusing Lucas of coercion, demanding the tablet's seizure. "The boy's been manipulated," he shouted, but Miss Porter stepped forward, presenting the USB, its metadata verified by a tech expert. I spoke, my voice steady. "Nathan Cole built a lie to steal my kids. My son's courage exposed him." Shock 2. Judge Monroe ordered Nathan's arrest in court, cuffs snapping on his wrists as he screamed, "You'll pay, Olivia!" The room erupted, reporters scrambling, CPS agents taking notes. Shock 3. CPS later uncovered Nathan's history of framing 2 exes, a pattern of abuse spanning decades. Shock 4. Nathan's mother called, sobbing, admitting she'd known his lies but stayed silent, fearing she'd lose Lucas and Sophie. Judge Monroe granted me full custody, Nathan's rights suspended, his charges, evidence tampering, false reporting, attempted kidnapping, carrying a 5-year sentence. Tessa met me outside, grinning. "That whistleblower, he's testifying. Nathan's fraud's collapsing." Curiosity 5. The burner phone held one last email. "Viper's still out there. Stay sharp." My video diary went viral on X. 3.1 million views. Comments flooding. "She fought and won. We can too." Michael Grant, a pro bono lawyer, took my case, pushing the Harper Protocol to reform custody courts. Lucas struggled, guilt gnawing at him for exposing his father. But therapy with Sophie and me rebuilt our trust. Sophie painted a canvas of a phoenix, its wings cracked but soaring, calling it Truth Rises. I became a trauma advocate, speaking at shelters, my voice steady now. Lucas coded a website, Truth Speaks, for survivors, while Sophie's art inspired others. Nathan's empire crumbled, his lies exposed, but Viper's shadow lingered, a reminder the fight wasn't over. As I tucked Sophie in that night, her locket warm against my chest, I whispered, "We're free." And for the first time in years, I believed it.